Hey everyone, have you ever really thought about what guides your shopping habits? You know, why a simple sales sign can be so powerful? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest ideas in economics, the law of demand. Let's dig in and see why we buy what we buy.
So here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the basic law itself, then we'll get into the psychology of why it works, breaking down these two key ideas called the income and substitution effects. And then we'll get to my favorite part, the weird and fascinating exceptions that seem to break all the rules.
All right, let's start with a feeling we all know and love. That little spark of excitement you get when something you've had your eye on suddenly goes on sale. That powerful little feeling, it's actually at the very heart of the economic principle we're talking about today. I mean, just think about it for a second. Black Friday, clearance sales, happy hour. They're all banking on the same simple idea about how we as humans are wired to behave. So, what is that idea? Turns out, economists have a name for it. And this is it, the law of demand. It's really just a formal way of saying something we already know intuitively. It's this inverse relationship. When the price goes down, we want more of a thing. When the price goes up, we want less. Now that last part, all other things being equal, is actually super important. It just means we're trying to isolate only the effect of price, assuming nothing else changes.
And if you were to draw a picture of this law, this is what it would look like. This classic downward sloping curve. You can see, as the price on the vertical axis goes down, the quantity people are willing to buy, that's on the horizontal axis, goes up. It's a really simple but powerful snapshot of human behavior.
But why does this happen? I mean, yeah, it seems obvious, right? We all want a good deal. But economists have actually pinpointed some specific hidden forces at work just under the surface. It's about how we value things. Okay, so the first big reason has this kind of academic-sounding name, diminishing marginal utility. Utility is just a fancy word for satisfaction or happiness, and the idea is dead simple. Think about pizza. That first slice is incredible, right? The second one is still pretty good, but by the time you're on your 8th slice, you're getting a lot less joy out of it than you got from that first one. So let's use the sandwich example here. Imagine you are absolutely starving. That first sandwich, it feels like a lifesaver. You might gladly pay top dollar for it. But the second one? Good, but not quite as life-changing. By the time you're considering a third sandwich, you're pretty full, and the satisfaction you'd get is way lower. So the price you're willing to pay for it drops too. That's diminishing marginal utility right there. So beyond that personal satisfaction, there are two other really powerful forces that shape our decisions when a price changes. They're called the income effect and the substitution effect. Let's break these two down. First up, the income effect. Okay, so imagine the price of gas, something you buy all the time, suddenly drops. You haven't gotten a raise, but it feels like you have more money, right? Your money can now buy more than it could yesterday. That's your real income going up. And because you feel a little richer, you can afford to buy more stuff, including more gas. And then we've got the substitution effect. This one's all about comparing prices. Let's say your favorite coffee brand suddenly gets way more expensive. You're probably going to start looking at the other, cheaper brands on the shelf, right? You start to substitute the pricey good for a more affordable alternative. It's as simple as that. So let's just put it all together real quick. The substitution effect is you switching from coffee to tea because tea is now a better deal. The income effect is the price of your coffee dropping, making you feel like you have more cash, so you can buy more of, well, everything, including more coffee. For most things we buy, these two effects work together, and they're what give us that classic downward sloping demand curve. Okay, so we've laid out this pretty solid, almost unbreakable law of economics. But you know what they say about rules? They're often made to be broken. So now let's get into the really fascinating stuff when our human behavior flips this entire idea on its head. I mean, it just sounds completely wrong, doesn't it? A company jacks up its price and suddenly people want to buy more of it. It just goes against everything we've been talking about. But believe it or not, in a few very specific, very rare cases, that's exactly what happens. And look, this isn't just some weird theory. These are real, accepted exceptions to the rule. So let's meet the two most famous rule breakers that defy the law of demand. The two big ones are Giffen goods and Veblen goods. And what's so cool is that they break the law for completely opposite reasons. One is all about absolute desperate necessity, and the other is about pure, unadulterated prestige. Let's start with Giffen goods. So these are named after an economist, Sir Robert Giffen, who noticed something really strange back in 19th century Britain. When the price of bread, a basic food staple, went up, the poorest workers actually started buying more bread. But why?
Well, because the price hike made them so poor they couldn't afford anything else like meat. So they had to cut back on those little luxuries and buy even more of the cheap stuff just to get by. And the result is this totally bizarre, upward-sloping demand curve. It's the complete opposite of what we saw before. As the price goes up, so does the quantity people demand. This happens when that income effect, that feeling of being poor, is so overwhelmingly powerful that it just crushes the normal substitution effect. Now let's swing to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Veblen goods. These are named after another economist, Thorstein Veblen. And here we're talking about pure luxury, where the high price is actually part of the appeal. Veblen called it conspicuous consumption, basically buying expensive things just to show everyone how wealthy you are.
And you know exactly what we're talking about. Rolls-Royce cars, super high-end watches, designer handbags. Think about it. If a luxury watch were suddenly super cheap, would it still feel special? No way. For Veblen goods, the high price tag actually makes it more desirable. The exclusivity is the entire point. So, let's just wrap this all up. For a normal good like a sandwich, if the price goes up, demand goes down. Simple. For a Giffen good, a basic staple like rice, a price hike can, weirdly, make demand go up out of sheer necessity. And for a Veblen good, like a luxury car, a higher price makes demand go up because of status. 3 totally different outcomes from a simple price change. So, what does this all tell us? Well, the law of demand is a pretty fantastic guide to most of our economic choices. But these exceptions prove that we're not always simple, rational robots. Our choices are this messy mix of logic and necessity, and sometimes even just the desire to show off. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible forces are out there shaping the decisions you make every single day?